Awesome. We are live. Welcome, everybody. Today is a client spotlight, and we have someone really special for you. This is my client, Tamara, who is just amazing, who really lights up a room, does amazing work helping people tap into their story. And Tamara, I'm going to let you share what it is that you do, because you're going to say it a lot better than me.
Well, thank you, James. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah,
First of all, what an honor
absolutely.
to be able to be interviewed by my favorite coach.
Thank
So,
you.
uh, my name is Tamara Rashid. I am an author of 33 books. 8 of them are bestsellers, and I write across genres. So, nonfiction, fiction, children's books, all kinds of stuff. But beyond that, I help authors to step into their book publishing agency of their dreams. So most authors really have this vision of this business they want to create. And I help them step into that and help them own it and commit to it and actually publish their own books predictably and professionally and books of other authors as well.
Oh
So
my God.
yeah, so that's what I built for myself, you know.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you've done an amazing, you're amazing at this, and you really help people bring out their story, step into their story. And on top of that, once they even have their book, you actually talk about how to market their book. Because some people make a book and then that's it. And then the people that
Yeah,
buy it are their friends and family. And you
yeah,
actually help them fully step into that.
absolutely. Like usually the emphasis is just on writing the book, getting the book written, and how to write this great book. But then who are you writing it for? Your
Yeah,
readers are people and they have things going on in their lives. So the better you can connect with them, the better you're actually ensuring that that book will sell. And
yeah,
people, a lot of writers tend to identify themselves as introverted. So because they do that, it kind of cuts them off from communicating with the people that really need them. So I try to wash all that away. I dispel all those myths around, how introverted you are, you know,
yeah,
because, our nature is really to connect. And if we
yeah,
can gently, then you will love
definitely.
any business you do.
For sure, for sure. And you're wonderful at that. So in terms of this client spotlight, and it's really, people getting a peek into what this experience is like. Could you share them, at least for you, what were the challenges that you were experiencing? What was happening for you before we even really stepped into this one-on-one coaching together?
Well, before we started our coaching relationship, I was in this space where I was really beat down by entrepreneurship.
Yeah,
My experience as an entrepreneur was of pain and struggle and frustration, and just nothing seemed to work, and program after program. And I'm like, I don't understand why this stuff just isn't working like all of my peers in these programs seems to be working. I will be sitting right next to someone and they just blow up 50K like right out of the gate. And I'm like, how come I can't do that? Why can't I seem to do that? So I was kind of trapped in this space in entrepreneurship where like my whole life was hanging on this thing working.
hmm
And along with that, I had all of these mindset and mental health challenges that came along with it. So like when you're not really able to deal with your mindset stuff, your mental health stuff really stands out, so depression, anxiety. I had CPTSD from trauma in my life, and I think I might have been in therapy when I met you. I was
yeah,
in therapy
yeah.
and I was trying to find a way to kind of end the chapter of my past that just kept seeming to come up. No matter how
Mhm.
far ahead I seemed to get, my past was like right there,
Yeah.
telling me what I could or could not do. So when I met you, I was really hurting. I was in a lot of pain, mental,
Mm.
emotional pain around my business and around my life. I mean, I wasn't enjoying parenthood. I wasn't enjoying the house that I live in. I wasn't enjoying uh like just I couldn't make ends meet. I was afraid of employment because
Mhm.
being employed meant I couldn't be an entrepreneur, but being an entrepreneur was super painful. So I was in this limbo like place when we met.
Yeah, yeah, and I think a lot of people um, relate to a lot of those things. Trying to work with a therapist, and at the same time, participating in programs, entrepreneurship programs, really trying to take those next steps, and it can feel really challenging to bridge the two, and then on top of that, yeah, just mental health or mindset. Um, yeah, and so I'm curious, what do you sense for yourself, in this process? What was the biggest fear you had to overcome to say yes to you and step into this one-on-one coaching together with me?
Oh my. So my biggest fear was around money at
Mm,
that time. I would have to say, just thinking about it, I was so afraid that the resources I already had, the resources I could see, were really the only thing that was reliable financially about me.
hmm.
And if you took some, then I would have less.
Yeah, yeah.
Even though there were things I knew I knew I needed to be able to regularly invest in myself in order to change what was happening. That was a painful decision because it felt like I had based all my finances on having a base. This
Yeah.
is my base. My base was unemployment. It was at that time. It was unemployment. It was child support.
Hmm.
Um, and those were the things I knew I was going to get. Those are the sources of income I could expect, you
Hmm.
know, but they weren't really income. They were not really income. They're not classified as income like unemployment is, but child support is not. It's not classified as income.
Right.
So I was in this space where I was like, I'm not making money on my own. And I just don't know how to put myself in a position where this money is going to come to me. I feel like I'm doing all these things. So I had this tremendous fear that if I paid you, it would be less for me and my family, and that would be that. And what am I going to get out of this coaching thing anyway?
Yeah.
You know. So that was, I don't know. I didn't approach it like, I'm not sure I want this, because I was like on your posts and like,
Yeah.
I knew I wanted you to be my coach. It was just the money felt like it was uh limited, like really limited and scarce.
Yeah.
So it created a lot of fear.
Yep. Yeah. And so the experience with money was that it was scarce, that it created a lot of fear. It felt like this is all there is. This is all I got, and if I give it away, it's not going to be mine. Which creates, right, the sense of even more scarcity, right? That then there's less.
Yeah.
Um, was there a particular moment or something that occurred for you that you were like, yes, let's do this? Was it um, something that you experienced in either a post or or an interaction that we had? Or was it something that you were just like, you know what, no more of this. I'd rather try and step into something new. Yeah, I'm curious.
Well, I remember going through like some particular mindset stuff, and I don't know if I exactly remember what those things were, but
Yeah.
you wrote a post that spoke directly to that. And I think it was around something like opportunities, creating opportunities for myself, or uh, that opportunities are created, something like that.
Yeah.
It was something along those lines. And it was kind of a place where I felt like I was kind of stuck in creating new
Mhm.
opportunities or something like that. And I decided to reach out to you and just have a conversation to see, maybe there was a way you would want to work with me. I didn't know if you would want to work with me. I didn't
Yeah.
know that because I limited myself based on how I saw myself. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I saw myself as someone that wasn't that worthwhile, that
Mm-hmm.
you have to work really hard. And would somebody want to deal with how hard I would need to work to be successful? So when I reached out to you, uh, the thing that got me to commit to coaching was understanding that I was getting into that with the idea that I can create what it is I want, that I'm getting to this, I'm learning a new habit of creating what it is I wanted in life. And with that came the realization I could have preferences, I could have, just stuff that survival mode. I was in perpetual survival mode. So
Mm-hmm.
no healing in that. And there's no opportunities. There's no abundance. It's just lack and scarcity. And you don't even have time to think about the kind of things you want because you're busy trying not to be rejected by everything. So,
Right.
yeah. So, you know, making the leap into that was just basically uh shifting my thinking. I
Yeah.
was that was what I really was agreeing to do. I needed to
Mm-hmm.
change the way I thought about my life and what was possible for me, and that's what I saw in your coaching.
Love it. Love it. And so I guess, people might be wondering what specific results or improvements did you experience? Could be tangible, intangible, while working together.
Well, I think my early results
Yeah.
were that my business and my life were two separate things.
Right. I remember that.
Yeah, you remember that? Like I thought my whole life happening was tied to my business working, my
Yeah.
business producing income. That would create my ability to live my life. That's what I thought, or that's how I operated, I should say.
Everything was hanging on that. Yeah.
Yeah, everything was. And you're like, well, what if you could actually fix your upstairs without your business being like working? What if you could
Yeah.
actually bring money in without that being a factor and then kind of relieve pressure off of your business and you? And I'm like, what? I didn't know that's what I was signing up for. Even my
Right. Right.
work, even if this is acting this way, I can still have a life I like. And
Mm-hmm.
that opened up like conversations about how I felt about myself. And those were the early results I had. The early results were like, um, I can take action separate from this thing that I'm so emotionally wound up in, you know.
Right.
And I had tremendous stress. I was under so much stress to make this work. And that's when my stress actually started becoming reduced. I started resting and relaxing more and knowing that I could. So those were like my early results. Like, okay, I do have a say. I can do things and say things and have a life without this thing dictating what that life should be like. That's what I thought was happening. I was the author of it all, but I couldn't see that. And that was something else that I got results in, seeing how much control I did actually have over my life.
Yeah, which is so such an amazing thing to come to, and I think is so counterintuitive
Yeah.
for people because there's lots of great programs out there that people participate in, and they learn the strategies, they learn the process, and what often happens is what's missed is the actual person.
Yes.
And so when you come to a call, it's thinking, oh, you know what, I want to make X in my business, and this is what I want to do. And what we get down to is, what'd you say?
Super fast.
Right, super fast. And what we get down to is you want to fix your upstairs and it's stressing you out. And I'm like, let's create an action plan on your upstairs. And it's funny because then you would send a message of the progress that was made on the upstairs, and then you'd also follow it up with, oh, and this money came into my life, or this person reached out, and this client appeared. And so they all seem to happen like simultaneously as you were taking care of yourself and seeing yourself in a different light.
Yes, like what ended up opening up for me out of taking action in other ways, I started becoming resourceful is really what it came down to. So like it dawned on me, you have resources, the resources you know you have, whatever's in your bank account, income coming in, what you feel like you're capable of. But then being resourceful happens in your imagination. It happens as a result of your skills and what you want to spend time on, and you know different ways to think about what's valuable, which is
Yeah.
where money comes from, instead of the money itself. When you fixate on the money itself, it takes you away from being resourceful.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, like you don't get to imagine, you don't get to create anything in a space where you think money is ruling everything.
Right when you're in urgency, there's no
Yeah,
thought or room or
I know.
resourcefulness for anything else. Yeah.
There's no, you're just kind of diving into things. That was another reason why paying for coaching was a little challenging for me mentally, was because I was
Mhm.
used to paying my bills big chunks at a time. So
Yeah.
if I had to pay you this big chunk and then I had to pay my bills a big chunk, I only got so many big chunks, to dip
Yeah.
into. So yeah, like it just completely shifted the way I thought about what's possible for me.
Yeah, and I even remember us, and we can move into even more of what you've created in the tangible sense. I do remember, we look at money and accounts, and there'd be, just these different ones, and different piles, and you're like, I haven't used this one, I use that one, and
Like
we
a
actually
squirrel.
systemized, right? We began to like systemize it for you, so it like made sense, and you felt like in control of it.
Absolutely. I felt like a squirrel. When I looked at my actual accounts, I had so many bank accounts with little bits of money here and there being pulled out of different
Yeah,
accounts.
yeah.
Nothing was being created new. It was just being shifted around in these different spaces. And I'm laughing about it now. But at the time, it made total sense to do that.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so you actually helped me to reframe the way I thought about my income, the way I thought about my expenses. And I got to include myself in my bills, which I had never even heard of before.
Hey, I remember that.
Remember
Yeah.
that? I wasn't getting my hair done or my nails done. I didn't have a budget for clothes or anything.
Mhm.
I was really suffering. I had created a life of suffering for myself, thinking that I was really obligated just to take care of my kids, and taking care of me was something that was going to happen when this business got going.
Right.
So you actually, I mean, rewrote just the way that I saw my own care.
Mm,
I wasn't doing any reflections. I wasn't, uh, man, like I wasn't giving myself any grace, you know,
wow.
really. So
Yeah.
like your coaching completely changed the way I treated myself.
Which is huge. I think, that's the foundation of everything. And yeah, share a little more on what that helped you create. I know you've created a 6-figure year. You've shifted the way you enroll clients and like the experience of that.
Yeah, like I actually started achieving old goals I had abandoned, like becoming a teacher. I got to become a teacher and really look at, before that, my imposter syndrome was kicking in. So uh I wasn't able to just step into different roles and trust that I would do well in them. It was like uh I would kind of count myself out before I even would try something,
Yeah.
because I thought I just couldn't achieve, and none of that was true. I had no track record of that being true, by the way. Yeah, I started college at 13. I have a master's degree. I've been teaching and everything most of my life. but it's like I kept running into what I made the past mean about me.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't true, you know? So I ended up creating multiple streams of income from just things that I naturally love doing. So teaching, I started taking on clients to help them with their books in various ways. So I helped a woman write a book and she became a best-selling author
Yeah.
over the course of a year. I helped a young woman establish a book publishing agency, a self-publishing coaching company, and it was just an idea in her head. So I started to kind of validate, things about myself that I had done for me. I knew that those things were things that I could do. And so I started to become stronger in relying on myself and reaching out and talking to people. That was the hardest part, I have to say, having those conversations and just letting conversations happen and not trying to anticipate what they would be like all the time, or just trusting myself. I think I was
Yeah.
wrapped up in creating rules around everything, how things should work. And
Yep.
then it had nothing to do with them actually working. It was just making things harder.
Right, which I think is amazing for people to realize, because a lot of entrepreneurs who are feeling like whether they're struggling or whether they're trying to reach that next step. Having fear of employment is a common thing, and so they're struggling and they're afraid to invest. And that was one of the things that we looked at and uncovered. And I just remember saying, like, Tamara, what would it be like for you to go to the interview and just be like, actually, this is who I am, this is how I operate, and you can either take it or leave it. Not in those exact words, but that was the sense, and that was actually refreshing for those people, and it shifted the experience of what it was like to work in something. And I think that's similar to conversations, because that's, I think, another thing that surprises people is they're so used to an entrepreneurship. Everything's about social media and reels and all these things. Yes. And, I'm like, how many people do you have a conversation with? Like a legit conversation. And then that's when all those perceptions come up. Well, what happens when they say this and all of that? And I'm like, oh, the answers to those aren't what we need. It's like resolving that even coming up, that you're able to just be in. Yeah. And it shifted everything for you.
Exactly. Like getting ahead of what I was concerned about solved everything. I created a process at my own pace. That was a big deal.
Your own process.
My own process. It belonged to me. That was, kind of a hodgepodge of things that I had been introduced to over the years. Like I got to this space where I was like, do I even really need a new process? Do I need something new? I already have like this huge storehouse of things I've learned. It's not really about the new process. And I think that was the expectation that people have when they get into coaching programs. We're looking at the people who have those programs as people that know it all. And our expectation is that we're going to get something new from them that's going to solve everything. And the reality is their job is just to throw you into imperfect action.
Yeah.
You're not going to find out anything that works for you unless you're actually using it and you can tweak it.
Right. Your own actions. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. That's where you find your flavor, your pace. It comes out of being in the trenches and speaking to people and allowing yourself to be flexible and to play in that process. And I had the hardest time being flexible and playing, finding joy. I had to do actually separate exercises on finding joy in my life. And I remember being asked, do you love what you're doing? I think you asked me that.
I think it was like, do you actually love what you're doing?
And I was like, Nope. No, I don't. I mean, but hindsight, that's where I was in my mindset. In
Hmm.
my mindset, I was used to things being so difficult, being this uphill battle, struggle. There's no way this stuff is going to be that easy. So I'm just going to brace myself and stress myself out the whole time that I'm doing it. So, yeah, it was really a discovery process that I can set the tone, I can set the pace, and I can trust myself that what it is that I'm doing is going to work well because
Yeah.
of who I am as a person, and not just because of a process or a coaching program. You know, and
Right.
that helps to guide you absolutely. And it's great to
Mhm.
have someone like James who can see what you're going through a mile ahead. I needed that. I needed that
Mhm.
very much, and I still need it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we've been working together for a while now, and it's been amazing, right? I think we're at
Yeah.
like a year and a half or so, maybe more,
Mhm. Yeah.
and it just keeps getting better. How do you sense that has shifted your experience in client enrollment? Because I think when people think of client enrollment, they think of, I need to know all the objections. I need to have, this really in-depth script. And, if someone doesn't want what I got, I sort of like brush them away and try and move on to the next person. Um, and thinking that you need to show up as someone different or some special expert. What do you sense has shifted through the work and really embodying that connection with others? And yeah, yeah, I'll open up for you to share.
I think the thing that really shifted was showing myself love first. So that way, when I started speaking to people, the love that I have for myself shown through, but then I can look past whatever I'm going through to really hear the person I'm talking to. That's what really shifted
Yeah.
because I think before what was happening was uh, as I talked to a person, I had so much of my own stuff in the way in the conversation. I'm having my own dialogue while they're talking about my confidence and can I really do this and just self doubt and there are times where I would reschedule calls and I wouldn't show up or I got my head under the covers, like oh man, this is a lot.
Yeah.
So it's like I had to kind of get myself out of the way. So our coaching helped me to kind of uh give myself the kind of love and attention and focus that I needed. So all of that wasn't going on to my calls. I had
Hmm.
a place for that. And so when I talked to people, it was more about recognizing what they were going through, recognizing myself in them. Like I could see where they were running up against certain things and I could speak to that. And then suddenly that the kind of coach that I became was one who had depth, I wasn't speaking to a person from my program. I was speaking to a person in a conversation with them. And
Yeah.
that's such a different place to be, you know, like you can establish authority with someone on a call and it have nothing to do with your business. I can tell you 100% of the time people don't even know what kind of business I have and what I can help them with, and that's not the point.
Yeah.
Other than them being an author, they know I work with books, but my programs are completely custom to the person. So there is no situation where I could just sit there and say, this is all the stuff I do to help. It's not like that. So I get to customize an experience for a person and meet them where they are, which has all the value. That's where all the value is,
Yeah.
and people want that more than they want the money in their pocket.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And I think you've had, just such an amazing transformation. I think we've all been there in our journey, whether it's, we get the no from someone and we're crying in bed, sulking for the day, or I know I have. And so it's really, shifting that energetically and emotionally and being present. And I swear, I feel like, you know, lately it's almost like every day or every other day, you're like, hey, I have a new client, someone entered the program, or you know, whatever you're doing, uh, it's working.
Yes, like that's exactly, and it's funny the way you say it. I think I'm just as surprised as you are, that uh uh sales are coming up and the conversation we're having is not about sales at
Right.
all. Like it's completely separate from our conversation. Our conversation has been really more around where I'm at emotionally.
Yeah.
Where is my emotional energy going so that I can free myself up to have those conversations. Just realizing I brought all of that stuff, that baggage from the past into every situation I was dealing with. And so I just couldn't see the value that was there, past the stuff I was dealing with. So once I actually sat down and got quiet and made time to love myself and listen to myself and not try to sweep how I felt under the rug and, power through everything. That's fine to persevere and to power through. Those things are great. But it's okay to honor yourself. And I think we live in a society that makes that not okay.
Yeah.
It's easy to ignore yourself for something. I'm going to ignore myself because I'm a parent and I have kids. What is that teaching your kids? It's not teaching my kids to go brush their teeth if they're watching me not shower for 4 days and I'm, a mess.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to parent from that place? So
Mm-hmm.
it's affecting every area of my life, not loving myself, you know, and that's really the biggest thing you showed me how to do is to really honor myself and listen to me, and that I can trust myself. I can
Yeah.
trust what I say and what I think, you know.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Mhm.
And you know, I'm curious. You know, I have a little list of questions on the side. Um, what was let me just okay? You know, how do you describe of what it's like working together? Things surprise you.
So it's breaking up just a little bit. You're frozen on my.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there, it's better. I think we might have
Okay, you can see me now.
like you freeze and unfreeze on my side. Okay, you're fine
Okay,
now. Okay,
I'm
all right.
fine. We're good.
All right,
The
repeat the question because I it was really choppy.
It's okay. What would you? How do you describe the experience of what it's like working with me, and did anything surprise you?
Oh, that's a great question. So the way I would describe the experience working with you is, I think it's kind of in phases, and it's
Mhm.
based on where I was at. Okay, so
Yeah.
like in the early stages, meeting with you was full of like anticipation and excitement, but it also had some fear and some pain in it because I had to talk about those things that I in my normal life I didn't really talk about. I just kind of bottled all that stuff up and dealt with it. So in the early stages, there were some challenges there because I had to face myself. I had to really look at what I was doing, my decisions, and actually talk to you about it. But
Mhm.
from the beginning, I've been a person who has allowed myself to be uncomfortable. I knew that everything that I wanted was on the other side of the discomfort of addressing these things that were kind of happening behind the scenes. So
Yeah.
that's what it was like at first. What it became was uh, this sounding board that I could check in with. Contacting you was like a sounding board. So I'm like, okay, this is what's going on in my head. Let me run this by you. And then you would uh kind of you would repeat it back to me. And then I would hear what it is that I got going on from outside of myself. And then you would lend to that if that was what was necessary. You would lend to that different ways to think. You would say, this is how I think about this, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and that gave me a it gave me another place to kind of direct what I was experiencing to, where I could listen to it differently.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you need to listen to what's going on in your head in a different way, because what you've been through in life has kind of conditioned you to deal with things in a certain way. You have habits you've created around what's happened in your life, and decisions you've made.
Mm-hmm.
So you being somebody outside of my head, I can actually talk to you about how I'm processing, and you give me a different way to think about it that actually is better for me. It's been healthier. It's been helping me to create better habits and excuse me, become aware of just what the inner dialogue I have and not to ignore it, you know? So that's what our coaching relationship has been like, just this incredible sounding board, and a shift in the way I think that I just have not found. I just haven't found that anywhere else. You know, this is very unique, I think, to your coaching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is there anything that stands out to you that surprised you?
Yeah, like so one of the things that stood out that surprised me recently, and I think has actually spoiled me a little bit, was when I have gone through this process of getting these clients and shifting how things have happened in my life financially and in my business, where my happiness is, I can kind of catch my emotions at a certain place and reach out to you. And like I was
Mm,
able to say, hey, James, I think this is an emergency, because now I'm
right.
feeling these ways that I've not felt before, because things are running in this beautiful way. And it surprised me that I could clearly see the investment you made in me.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? That made a big difference, because I've been in a lot of coaching programs where people just kind of let me sit in whatever I was sitting in and just not lend me any kind of guidance, or any kind of, had no words for me, and I had to kind of deal with that on my own. And I've never felt on my own since I
mm,
started coaching with you. Like, I've never felt like there was something I was going through that I couldn't talk to you about. You know,
yeah.
and it's interesting too, because I think people who, especially parents, right? If you have children, you're going to want to look for someone that has kids, or you want to look for someone that has X, whatever that is, you know, that reflects exactly what you've got going on. But that doesn't mean another person can't have insights that would be helpful for you. We've talked about my parenting a lot of times.
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I have 5 kids, and you have how many, James?
I have zero.
Like, and it's not about that as much as it's about a shift in the way you think about how you care for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Those were things that I didn't have as foundations before becoming a parent. So now I get to learn those things and really be happy about who I am as a person with kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you have that, who you are as a person before you have kids is just as important as who you are when you have those kids, you know? So I just think that that parallel is really incredible, unexpected, and very surprising for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's wonderful. And I'm, really hearing that through this process, it's really helped shifted your experience of yourself, the way that you see yourself, and just the way that you handle those things that come up, right? Because I think, as you share that, I think in some programs and some coaches, a lot of times the coach is maybe like, oh, you can box for me anytime, or you can
Yeah.
do these things, or you can post anytime. And from what you're sharing, it sounds like it's not that it was, like a, I don't know what to do. It's more of a, here's what's coming up for me. And through our work, we're actually helping you cultivate that ability to handle the different things that come up, and how you navigate that and how you experience it.
Absolutely. And even the questions that you asked me in a situation that I felt was at first a highly emotional thing. And I felt like I was, you know, can I handle it? That was the thing that I was concerned about. There's a lot of momentum now. Can I handle that? You know, you asked me questions that really got me seated right back into who I am. I didn't do all this work for nothing. You know, I didn't do all this
Right.
work for nothing. And the kind of person, now I know the kind of person I am. I know who I identify as. And because I know that and I'm well seated in that, I know I can handle anything that comes my way, and that I have handled anything that came my way, and I
Yeah.
handled it like a champion. So I can trust that. And sometimes you just need someone to remind you that, you know, you've been through the paces, and you know, they've seen it, you know. Yeah. I think that's something else. Like in my head, I'm the only person that sees what it is that I'm going through. So the coach has this unique perspective
Yeah.
of, of getting in your headspace. Let somebody in your headspace, let James in your headspace, so that way he can help you really see who you are, because he can see that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's beautiful. And yeah, it's this element of being able to look at our own shit. I think that's
Yeah.
something that you're willing to do. You're willing to do that, and at the same time, coming from like the greatest love and care, which doesn't always seem like it goes together, but it really does. Um,
It really does, because it's honesty, right? Like we kind of create delusions around what it is that we do, because, you know, we want to live in this comfortable space, you know? And comfort can look like a lot of things. It doesn't need to look like you not being able to make moves on the things you care about. It doesn't
right.
need to look like not being able to have a conversation because you identify as introverted. You know,
Mhm.
it doesn't have to, comfort doesn't have to look like um all of the mental health barriers between you and what you want. The rules that you've created to keep you away from what you want in your life. It doesn't need to look like that. It can look like being comfortable knowing that you know what you know, and that you can actually do anything you want with that. I get to teach, I get to tutor, I get to help authors, I get to be a parent, I get to work on my house and create an Airbnb and all this stuff. And it doesn't burn me out. It doesn't make me feel overwhelmed. I
Yeah.
actually get excited by the things that I have in my life to do. And I have plenty of time to take a nap, plenty of time to rest and do what I want, play video games. And I don't judge myself for any of it anymore.
Mhm.
That's the thing that lifted.
Definitely. I love it. And I think you really just tapped on this. The next question I have is, there's two more left. What does life look like now? It says after working together, we're still working
We're
together.
still working together.
But yeah, what does life look like now for you?
Life now, it looks like um, just me trying to figure out what it is that I want to do, and then
Mhm.
going to do those things, putting plans in place. So, like next month, I'm going to Denver, Colorado.
Love
Never
it.
been to Denver before. I was afraid really to travel, and I don't even know where that came from. You know, it's just something I just never got into the habit of doing, but it's just a decision to do, you
Yeah.
know. And uh that came from you telling me about in your own life how you just wanted to go to Seattle. So
Right.
all roads led to Seattle, you know? And I mean, just being able to share what I want to create, it went from, is this possible, to I'm creating this, you
Yeah.
know? So working with you has given me like a habit and this cadence of whatever it is I want to create, I'm creating that, you know?
Mhm.
that's just the space that I'm in now. Anything that is happening in my life that I don't like, it changes like within probably 24 hours, James. Like, like I actually have a turnaround time in my manifesting now,
Yeah.
like from the time I say that I want something, it could be just a couple hours of the next day and I've already gotten, those
Yeah.
things happening. So that's what coaching is looking like now. It's just me being in a flow and really talking about the vision for the life I want and going after that with everything I've got, but
Yeah.
it's super comfortable for me. That's the funny thing. It's chaotic and and exciting, but it's also mine. It's
Yeah.
mine.
Absolutely. I love it. And what would you say to someone who's on the fence right now? Maybe they've seen my posts. Maybe they're like, "Where's his special program that I don't have?" And so, yeah, what would you say to someone who is on the fence and trying to figure out if they want to work with me?
Well, the first thing I would say is the special program is you. Like you bring the cadence and the energy that your coaching is going to uh, kind of feed off of. So, however you are right now is perfect. Just the fact that you're there and you're questioning it means that you need to have a call with James, because something's going to come out of that that's going to open up something. It's going to awaken something in you that you really didn't even know you had access to. And the reason why that post stood out that he wrote was because it's kind of knocking on that thing that's persisting in your life that you don't want, that's holding you back. So I would say to someone who is really in a space where they know that they want coaching and they're looking at your information and things are resonating, uh, that's your jump out of the airplane moment. You know, how are you going to know that that parachute's going to open if you never actually step out and catch yourself? That's possible.
Yeah.
So have a conversation and just put it in that frame for yourself. That's what I did. I had a conversation, and in that conversation things opened up for me that allowed me access to my life, but it wasn't going to happen if I wasn't willing to have the conversation.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I love the way that you frame that and really share that with them, right? Just having the conversation. And I'm a no pressure person. Like it's
Yeah,
just a conversation.
it
And
really is just a conversation.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a conversation. And what would you say to someone who is, because they may be in a program that's really helpful to them and it teaches them the step by step and the know how. How have you found our type of coaching? What is it? How does it pair with maybe a program that they're in, or what are they receiving that they most likely aren't receiving in that program?
I would say so. I am in programs.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, I
And
support that.
yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. And I've even told him about those programs and I showed him information or talked to him about, what I thought I was going to get out of it. At the end of the day, no matter what program that you're in, what you get out of it is going to be accessible through your mindset. And I found my coaching with James handled mindset on a level where um I actually was able to kind of look within myself, articulate or talk about what it was that I was feeling. And that helped me to get that out of the way so that I could actually do the other program with no baggage. Like the
Hmm.
other program was these other programs I'm in, they're about process and they're about the step by step and things like that. But I couldn't see any of those things. I couldn't get past myself to make sense of any of that. So my coaching with James has actually helped me to balance my life, myself, and the things that I want to offer other people. So that's how it's helped me. So it's not something that, you don't have to do. First of all, I didn't think I could afford any of those things. I came from a space where, my what I knew best was poverty. And years ago, I was really good at being in poverty. I could be resourceful as possible with nothing. And this gave me the opportunity to be resourceful with everything at my disposal. Now I know exactly what's waiting for me. I know exactly what I'm capable of and what's possible for me. So, yeah, like it really created a balance point. I could actually talk about challenges that were in my way from effectively using the other program that other coaches were really not able to address with me because of the amount of time they had. They might be seeing 50 other people. I didn't have to worry. I don't have to get in line over there. I have my own space that I cultivated myself with somebody that actually has the time to know me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh yeah, I love it. I love to know my clients. I love to have those conversations. Yeah, because I'm invested in you and your success. This has been amazing, Tamara. I really appreciate you being willing to share, open up the space, and to talk about this. So thank you so much, and I'll make sure I tag you in the post so everyone can find you. Do you have a website or anything that they should go to if they're wanting to write a book and they're interested in that? Yeah.
actually, the first place of contact that you can go to is my Facebook. So find me on Facebook, and if you type in my name, put my middle initial in there, Tamara S. Rashid, and you'll see my face talking in front of a projector and stuff like that. Um, I have my own website under my name, so tamararashid.com. That'll tell you about everything that I do and how to get in contact with me as well. But Facebook is the best place.
Cool. Perfect. And for anyone that is interested in coaching, having a conversation, just about what's going on in your life, and it doesn't have to be coaching with me. I may just direct you to some resources that could be that can be supportive, because I want to make sure that you're doing what's best for you. And if you are interested in having a conversation, you can go to my website, JM as in Michael, Whiteman, WIGHTMAN.com. And yeah, there's an area there. You can see clients that I've worked with. You can see more of the work that we've done. And there's an area where you can reach out, or you can reach out to me over Facebook. Wherever you're seeing this, you can probably reach out to me. So thank you so much, Tamara, and really appreciate having you here today. And for anyone listening, yeah, the moment you take the step, that's when your life starts to change. So have a good day. I love you, Tamara, and thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye.
you.